Okay, so and if once you're done with the motion trail, you just select it and delete it. We could probably delete it in the outliner to be clean. So let's go to Window, Outliner, Motion Trail, and I'm just going to hit delete on my keyboard, and it's gone. Now, the other thing that we need to do is just check the curve on this head. I'm going to select that curve, hit A in the graph editor, and I'm going to look at the rotate X control, which feels a little bit over cranked to me. So I'm just going to adjust that curve just to try and make it feel a little bit less. Actually, here I think we could, here we could probably have that head still being delayed as it comes down. So we could keep that head down, keep the head down like that, and then have it rotate back. So let's see what that looks like. Actually, I think I kind of liked it more the way it was before. I think I liked that more extreme rotation. And then coming down, and then that's going to roll more that way, and then yeah, okay, let's try that. See, I think what I had before was better, so I'm going to hit Z and go back to what we had before. There's a lot of tweaking in animation, and sometimes you try things and you don't like it, and so you just change it. And that's why the undo button is so incredibly helpful, because it allows us to make easy adjustments to things. And it is the beauty of CG animation, is that you can easily adjust things. Now, one thing I'm going to do is I'm going to grab all of these controls, and I'm going to make sure that we don't have anything set at frame 1, because remember, we're not animating from frame 1, so we don't need anything there. Hit delete, and just make sure that we're animating from frame 101. And I'm going to select everything down here in the graph editor, and I'm going to switch to non-weighted tangents, and I think I have to do that under curves to non-weighted tangents. That simplifies my tangents. We don't really need to use weighted tangents, so it's as well not to. Now we're almost done with tweaking this animation. What we now need to do is to tweak the base of the lamp as it comes into land, and you can see here, if I click on that base control, I've got a keyframe set at 121, but now it's sort of slipping around between 121 and 125. So I'm going to have to lock that down a bit, and I'm going to need to set a keyframe at 123, and I'm just going to move that up a little bit just to make sure that it's not sliding around at between those frames. Now it's still doing a little bit of sliding, and what we can do there is again go through those channels one by one, and just make sure that we're not getting any bizarre behavior. Actually, what I might do is rotate that up a little bit at 121. Okay, that's 125, so if I do that, I'm going to have to move it this way a little bit, and that probably means I've got to lift that up a little bit because I want a nice straight leg on the contact position. So 121 and 125. Okay, so that looks good. Between 121 and 125, that looks good. That base is nice and solid. Now it's now slipping at 123. So we're just going to eyeball this. And actually we could probably Actually, what I think we'll do is we'll make sure that it's flat at 123. So what I'm going to do is go to frame 125 and again middle mouse drag that over to 123 and hit S. And what that will do is it will flatten that out. So it's now, we're still getting some, we're going to have to go in and flatten these tangents out like we did on the way in. And I think at 122 we're going to have to manually adjust this. So we're going to have to do a frame by frame tweak on that to make sure that that base isn't sliding between 121 and 122. Okay, that's looking good. It's all about, didn't mean to do that, it's all about locking that down so that it's not wobbling around. And there we go, now we've got it locked down. And then I'll hit another keyframe at frame 141 because you always want to make sure you've keyframed everything at the beginning and the end of the shot. And that is not looking too bad. So now we could go on tweaking this, but I'm reasonably happy with what we've got there. This still feels the rotation, the X rotation on the head, still feels a little bit too extreme in there. What if we rotate that back a bit as it comes down? Just feels a little bit in, and that feels like that should rotate that way. Let's see what that does. Okay, that feels nicer. Great. Okay, I'm going to leave that now. I'm going to declare victory. And actually the final thing we can do is make a play blast of it just to make sure we're properly happy with it. And to do the play blast, I'm going to turn off all of the controls here. So I'm going to go to show all and go to none. And now I'm going to turn on NURBS surfaces because this is a NURBS surface, the head, and also polygons. So now we've got rid of all of the controls. Now all we've got is the geometry showing, polygons and the NURBS. And I'm going to go to Window, Play Blast, open up the options box. I'm going to select QT from Format, assuming it will allow me. Encoding PNG, quality 70, that all looks fine. From Window, that looks fine. And let's make a Play Blast and see what happens. And now Maya should, in theory, automatically create a little Play Blast for us. Just make that a little bigger and see what we've got. Okay, so this is now a real time. Just going to change that to frame number so we can see the frame numbers go by. And that's a real time playback of what we've got. And you can go to Control L in order to loop that, and it will just keep looping. So that's very useful to have. And you'll see here I've got the numbers burned into the screen so I know exactly which frame number we're at. And the reason I had that was that here in the perspective window I went to Display, Heads Up Display, Current Frame. So by turning on Current Frame, you can see it's ticked there. That burns the current frame number into the Play Blast playback window. So there it is. So at that point, I'm reasonably happy with what I've done. I've done one cycle, and now we're going to go ahead and do several cycles, but that's for the next video. So now I'm going to go ahead and save my work, File, Save Scene As, Alex Lamp Hop version 2. And you might want to keep a record somewhere of what all these different versions are, just so that you can come back to them if need be. Continue and save, and we are done.